They approached him before he even looked up. No warning, no explanation. Just authority drawn like a weapon over a coffee cup and a quiet man on a bench. 2 officers, shoulders squared, hands twitching, closed in like backup called to a threat. But all Marcus Lane was doing was reading. The officer didn't check for suspicious behavior. Didn't ask a question. Didn't need to. Because in his mind, Marcus didn't look like he belonged in that zip code. Stand up. 2 words. Spoken with the kind of certainty usually reserved for criminals, not citizens. And as Marcus was confronted in broad daylight, eyes followed, but not in protest, just quiet agreement. Because this looked right to them. He was too calm, too poised, too present. And that made people nervous, because nothing about Marcus fit their idea of who should be comfortable here. But here's the part no one knew. Not the couple walking their dog, not the teens filming from across the fountain, and certainly not Officer Daly, who hadn't even asked for ID yet. The man they were treating like a suspect wasn't there for peace and quiet. He didn't come to relax. He came to confirm a pattern. And when you find out what Marcus Lane had in that coat pocket, you'll understand why this moment wasn't a coincidence. It was the final test. This isn't a story about skin color. This is a story about silence, and what happens when the quietest man in the park turns out to be the one in charge of it. So now ask yourself, what happens when the person you try to humiliate turns out to own the moment you created to break them? Who is Marcus Lane? Why didn't he fight back? And what did he really come to that park to do? Drop your theories in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. And if you believe justice doesn't always come in loud voices, hit that subscribe. You'll want to be here when the truth lands. Marcus Lane was raised in Baldwin Hills, Los Angeles, where the lawns were trimmed, but the tension was never far from the sidewalks. In a house where books outnumbered birthday parties, Marcus learned to listen more than speak. While other kids chased games, he chased patterns, legal codes, case studies, old hearings on grainy video. He didn't study for applause. He studied so no one could twist the rules on him later. Silence wasn't just a reaction. It was armor. While others posted wins and titles on timelines, Marcus dismantled discriminatory systems quietly. On record, off the radar. He crafted oversight protocols for internal review boards. He helped restructure compliance language after a failed civil rights audit in Chicago. He never went viral. But the people who needed protection? They knew his name, and still every Sunday he brought groceries to his mother's porch before noon. Years ago, a superior once told him, "You'll never lead an investigation. You're too quiet, too passive." That man now hosts LinkedIn webinars on equity. Marcus doesn't comment. He just watches silently from the back row. He knows better than to chase apologies. He chases change. These days, Marcus mentors analysts who've never seen someone who looks like them in charge. He walks into hostile precincts unnoticed, lets the assumptions do the heavy lifting. When someone cuts him off mid-sentence or calls him sir, with that clipped doubt, he doesn't correct them. He lets them perform, because in those performances, they reveal everything. Officer Trent Daly, on the other hand, is the kind of man who confuses posture with presence. His uniform is ironed tighter than his judgment. His walk is a declaration of ego. He scans for weakness, not understanding. And when he sees Marcus, he doesn't see a man. He sees a disruption. Just a few days earlier, Daly grinned ear to ear, shaking hands with a new white recruit named Kyle. Kyle had forgotten a step during his patrol walkthrough. But Daly laughed. "You'll learn, kid." That same day, Marcus had quietly corrected an evidence tag. Daly didn't laugh. He glared, then looked away. Have you ever felt misjudged before people even knew who you were? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. People like you always act like you own the place. Officer Trent Daly's voice was low, but every syllable dripped with resentment. It wasn't law speaking. It was ego. His stance widened, hand hovering near his holster like punctuation. He leaned in close, jaw flexing as he added, "This park's for residents, locals. You don't look like one." Marcus Lane didn't flinch, didn't blink. His fingers stayed calmly around the edge of his coffee cup. "I'm sitting," he replied. "Drinking coffee. That's not a crime." His voice was even, unbothered. But Daly wasn't looking for logic. He was looking for control. With no warning, Daly slapped the tablet off Marcus's lap. It clattered to the pavement, screen side down. Gasps fluttered nearby. "You were warned," the officer barked, louder this time, like he wanted to be overheard. Like this wasn't a de-escalation. It was a performance. Marcus's head tilted, slightly, just a few degrees. His eyes moved past Daly's shoulder, toward a bench in the distance. A woman in sunglasses gave the slightest nod, almost imperceptible, but it meant something. Daly didn't catch it. But something had shifted. A teenage jogger, earbuds half dangling, stopped mid-stride. Devon, high school sophomore, instinctively pulled out his phone. Nearby, Mr. and Mrs. Tillman, retired, quiet, watching from their Sunday stroll, shared a glance, then turned away, choosing distance over involvement. "He must have done something," murmured Karen L., a dog walker, tugging her golden retriever toward the opposite path. The words weren't loud, but they carried. A subtle nod here, a whisper there. The crowd was settling into its assumption. Daly stepped forward again, this time with force. His hand hit Marcus's shoulder hard, enough to make him lean sideways, against the bench. "Get up," he barked. It wasn't fear, it was control. The crowd didn't gasp. They'd seen enough to justify the push, at least in their minds. Ramon J., a father with his young son on his shoulders, took a step forward, jaw clenched, then paused. The badge, the uniform, the crowd, too risky. He stepped back. Marcus slowly straightened his jacket, then reached down to pick up his coffee, not spilling a single drop. "You might want to double-check what you're escalating," he said softly. No emotion, no threat, just gravity. And Devon's phone was still recording. What would you do if someone challenged you publicly based only on assumption? Drop your response in the comments. Aslo, hit like and subscribe. I gave you a chance. Now you're resisting. Officer Trent Daly's voice rose as his grip tightened around Marcus's wrist, twisting it. Not enough to break skin, but enough to send a clear message. I own this moment. Don't make me call it in, he hissed. But everyone watching knew this was already a call. A message, loud and racial and rehearsed. The park froze. Joggers slowed to a halt. Children were pulled behind legs and benches. The birds kept chirping, but no one heard them anymore. This wasn't a park anymore. It was a stage, and everyone had a role to play. Spectator, coward, or accomplice. Marcus didn't resist. He didn't even blink. "Let go of me," he said flatly, his voice low but firm, like iron left to cool. There was no shake, no quiver, just the kind of composure that made people uncomfortable. Then came the smallest movement. His fingers slipped inside his coat cuff, brushing the lining like he was adjusting it. But it wasn't that. And if you were really watching, you'd know something had just been activated. "I think I've seen him before," whispered Valerie Chen from the far bench, squinting. "On TV? Or maybe a courtroom thing?" People around her leaned closer. Doubt had entered the conversation. Curiosity cracked the surface, but Daly didn't notice. "Get on your feet," Daly shouted, and shoved Marcus again, this time knocking his shoulder into the bench rail. The hit echoed louder than the shout. "You think you're special?" A few gasps. A mother reached for her child. No one moved in. Why doesn't he just comply? Devon's friend Erica muttered under her breath. Nearby, Malik, arms crossed by the fountain, said to no one in particular, "That cop's out of line." The audience was dividing. Quietly, visibly. Power was tilting. Marcus stared straight ahead. He didn't call for help. He didn't look for sympathy. He just waited. Stillness, like a held breath, settled over him. And in that silence, something started shifting. Then, motion from the side. Anita, mid-50s, raised her phone higher. No words. Just a nod. Support didn't have to be loud to be real. Marcus slowly bent, picked up his tablet and wiped the screen. He pressed a small button at the corner, barely noticeable. A faint blue light blinked twice, then vanished. Only Agent Rivera saw it, sitting by the pond pretending to read the post. His eyes tightened. He knew what it meant. But Daly kept pushing. He stepped in close and with a smirk, flicked the badge off Marcus's coat. It landed face down on the bench with a cold metallic clink. Gasps returned. This wasn't procedure. This was humiliation. Marcus's phone vibrated once in his pocket. He didn't reach for it. Just shifted his gaze toward a woman standing at the edge of the trees. Camilla Reese. In plain clothes, hands clasped. She gave the smallest nod. The operation was live. Behind them, a voice broke through the tension. "Maybe he's just some activist," Darren scoffed, slurping the last of his smoothie. Nervous laughs bubbled. Not confident. Not sure. Just desperate for normalcy. "I mean, why's he just sitting there?" said Lily, nudging her boyfriend. "Brian, that officer's got a job to do." Judgment hung in the air like smoke. Casual, unearned, and dangerous. Marcus moved. Slowly, deliberately. He reached inside his coat. And Daly lost it. "Stop!" the officer shouted, his hand snapping to his holster. Everything locked, every heart skipped, every phone lifted. Then, Jesse, mid-20s, hesitant but bold. "If he's not doing anything wrong, why's he being pushed around?" His voice cracked, but the words landed. People turned. Daly rounded on him. "This is official business. Walk away." But his tone had shifted. Defensive. Shaky. Too many eyes were watching now. Just then, a park worker, Laura, walked by with a crate of water bottles. She offered one to a jogger, another to a cyclist. She looked directly at Marcus and walked past. Subtle. Intentional. And noticed. What would you do if you were in Marcus's situation? Would you fight back or stay calm and let the truth reveal itself? Tell us in the comments. And if this moment got you fired up, hit like and subscribe. Officer Daly snapped. His hand swung fast. The remaining coffee exploded across Marcus's pants, a hot splash against calm fabric. The crowd gasped. The cup spun twice before landing lidless near the bench leg. And still. Marcus didn't move. "They're escalating," Daly barked, loud enough to rewrite the narrative in real time. Refused to identify himself. His voice carried not as truth, but strategy. A couple, Tom and Felicia, exchanged an uncertain look. Tom nodded slowly, hesitant, unwilling to question a badge. Marcus lifted his eyes. Not quick, not slow. Just enough for everyone to feel it. He looked straight at Daly. "All I've ever asked for is fairness." No anger, no shaking voice. Just a tone that cut through everything else. The wind, the traffic, the lies. He stood. People assumed he was leaving. He walked slowly toward the edge of the park, then stopped, turned, and walked right back. No words, just presence, gravity. Everyone watched. "Don't ignore me!" Daly shouted, lunging forward. He shoved Marcus hard in the chest. The sound of contact was sharp enough to snap silence in two. A child near the swings began to cry. "That's too far!" Tameka, seated near the picnic tables, rose to her feet. Phones flew up, hands lifted. Someone said, "Record that." And the story shifted. Marcus didn't flinch. He didn't stumble. "You just made a mistake," he said quietly. "A public one." "You were warned," Daly yelled. He grabbed Marcus's arm again, twisting hard. But this time, too many were watching. What do you think the Marcus should do next? Should they stay quiet, or let the truth shake the room? Let us know in the comments. Marcus Lane didn't raise his voice. He didn't take a step forward. But the sentence landed like a gavel. "I've tolerated enough." The words didn't echo. They cut. Clean, final. His tone didn't beg for dignity. It declared it. And for the first time, Daly's posture faltered. Even the wind seemed to hold back. Daly scoffed, loud, waving toward the cameras now filming him from 3 different angles. "You're the one making a scene." But the words fell flat. The same crowd he'd postured for was no longer buying the act. The more he tried to explain, the more the truth slipped out through his body language. His tone, his sweat. People were shifting, literally, moving closer to Marcus, no longer pretending not to see. Some crossed arms in quiet solidarity. Some nodded. Some simply turned their backs on Daly, not out of fear, out of shame. Marcus bent down slowly, picked up his tablet, pressed his thumb against the back panel. The screen stayed dark, but a soft click, almost imperceptible, sounded as he slid, his finger along the edge. To everyone else, it looked like he was cleaning it. But Agent Camilla Reese, now standing near the sculpture garden, saw the signal and moved. "Give this to the woman in the gray coat," Marcus said to Devon, the teenager still filming from a cautious angle. Devon hesitated, then nodded, stepping out of frame and into something he didn't yet understand. Camilla took the device without a word, slid it into her satchel, then quietly exited stage right, without a glance back. The op had just entered, its second phase. Daly saw the movement. Not clearly, but enough. "Who are you texting?" he snapped. His voice tried to sound in control, but something cracked under the words. He wasn't interrogating anymore. He was guessing, desperate. A voice from behind Marcus chimed in. Calm, grounded. "Want me to keep filming?" It was Anita. She hadn't moved much, but her phone never dropped. Her eyes stayed sharp, her resolve sharper. Marcus turned slightly toward the crowd. Not fully, just enough to include them in the moment. This was never about park rules. His voice was calm, but it carried now. It's about how quickly someone can be treated like they're dangerous just because they're composed, because they don't apologize for existing. And then, Daly said it. "People like that don't belong in this neighborhood anyway," he muttered. Not to Marcus, not to the crowd, to himself. But loud enough. Lily, the one who'd laughed earlier, turned. Brian's arms uncrossed. Valerie Chen blinked hard, like her brain just replayed the past 15 minutes in new light. No one spoke, but no one looked away either. And Daly? He knew. The second it slipped from his mouth, he knew. That wasn't heat of the moment. That was who he was. Marcus looked at him. Really looked at him. "You overlooked one thing," he said, measured. "Everything you've done here is being recorded. Twice." A pause. Daly's hand drifted toward his belt again, but there was no weight left behind it. "You think these are strangers watching?" Marcus continued. "They're not." Daly opened his mouth, but the words got stuck somewhere between excuse and panic. What would you do in this situation? Would you stay calm, speak up, or walk away? Comment your thoughts below, and hit like and subscribe. Conversations died mid-word. A park worker, Jenna, froze with her sandwich halfway to her mouth. Joggers stopped mid-stride. Phones hovered in the air, trembling slightly and unsure. Hands, even the birds, the ones that never cared, fell quiet. For the first time, the silence didn't belong to the officer. It belonged to Marcus. Across the lawn, Agent Rivera shifted his stance, slow, precise. His right hand slipped into his jacket pocket. No words, just a calculated change in weight. Seconds later, Camilla Reese returned, this time unmoving, her coat pulled back just enough to reveal a chest-mounted camera. Recording. Broadcasting. Marcus placed his phone face down on the bench. A soft blue light blinked once from its edge. Valerie saw it. Her eyes widened. She finally understood. "What are you doing?" Daly snapped. His voice cracked. Marcus turned to the crowd. "You'll understand soon enough. He's too calm for a guy getting harassed," Erica whispered, her phone still trained on the scene. "You don't think—" The sentence didn't need finishing. Around her, the crowd leaned forward, curiosity overtaking doubt. The man they assumed was defenseless was waiting, and that weight felt loaded. Camilla Reese stepped forward, quiet, poised. She held no badge, wore no uniform. Just presence. She handed Marcus the same tablet Daly had once slapped to the ground. He took it without looking at her, his eyes locked on Daly. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Something was shifting. Marcus pressed play. The screen lit up. Bright, undeniable. There was Daly, not today, but 3 weeks ago. Same uniform, same ego. Manhandling a Latino father outside a gated community. No context needed. The voice, the shove, the face. It was him. Unedited, unfiltered. And now, unmistakable. 2 men in clean suits stepped from the trees like shadows made real. Their posture was federal. Their presence, final. Agent Rivera nodded once. And that nod was enough to collapse every assumption in the park. "This man is not under investigation," Rivera said. "He is Special Agent Marcus Lane, Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division." Phones lifted like soldiers saluting. The crowd transformed. So did their understanding. "That's where I've seen him," Valerie whispered. "The oversight panel. He was leading it." Now it all made sense. Marcus finally spoke. "I've been investigating use of force patterns in affluent neighborhoods. Watching this department for 6 months," Daly stammered. I didn't know who you were." But no one cared. "All procedures are paused," Camilla said flatly. "Officer Daly, your badge is suspended pending full internal review." Ripples of shock. No outrage, just consequence. Marcus folded his hands behind his back. No victory dance, just silence. 2 more agents arrived. Sealed folders. The word, "Launch." "You never asked who I was," Marcus said to Daly. "You just assumed." 1 clap, then 2. Then nothing. Not applause. Just recognition. "You chose bias. You rejected truth. That's what you'll answer for." Daly's partner Kyle took a step back. Distance, loud as guilt. Daly edged toward the path. "Remain where you are," Rivera said. "You're under DOJ supervision." "Officer Trent Daly," Camilla declared. "Your position is terminated, effective immediately." "This wasn't personal," Daly croaked. Marcus looked him in the eye. "It became personal the moment you made it public." He turned to the crowd. "To those who stayed silent, but stayed aware, thank you." He nodded to Anita. She nodded back. As Marcus walked away, a nearby screen blinked on. Special Agent Marcus Lane, DOJ Oversight Lead Tom, the man who had nodded along earlier, swallowed hard. Now they knew. "Do you think Officer Daly deserves forgiveness or should face the full consequences? Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit like and subscribe for more powerful justice stories like this one. As Marcus stepped away from the scene, Jesse caught up to him, eyes wide, voice hushed. "I've never seen someone win without yelling." Marcus gave a soft smile. "It wasn't the noise that changed the moment," Jesse added. "It was the clarity." The footage went viral, not because it was loud, but because it was surgical. Headline: FBI agent silently exposes racism in real time. Later, at a DOJ leadership forum, Marcus stood at a podium. He didn't speak long. Power isn't in how you demand attention, it's in how you hold it. He closed with this: "To those who are unseen, you don't need to shout to matter. Let your silence be strategic, not surrendered." Weeks later, Marcus returned to the same bench. A new officer passed. "Morning, sir." Marcus nodded. Same place, different posture. Miles away, Daly sat in a training room. No badge, just notes. Listening. For once. In Marcus's car, a black folder. Stamped Phase 2, National Oversight. As the screen faded, his voice remained. Legacy isn't built in the noise. It's built in the silence they remember you by. If you loved this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded. Dignity isn't a reward. It's a right. And in the comments, tell us, should Officer Daly be forgiven, or should he face every consequence? We'll be watching.